here we are. Once again, it is Friday night for some of you, Friday night for future me. And I wanted to talk about this video I saw on TikTok that was made in response to Comrade Ash by Blane Fowler on TikTok. They say on their bio, I talk about politics and stuff, and they're a sockadem or a social democrat. And we'll get into that and what that means and why I have a problem with that. But ultimately, let's just check out the video, do what I usually do, go point by point, and we'll keep it moving. And it goes without saying, the original videos are all going to be in the description, so you can follow, all this information. So here's our what's his name? Blane. Here's Blane again.
Tanky is because this is the first time hearing about it. Okay, so tanky is a derogatory term used.
Do I have the creepy, cold, tanky smile down?
You have the milk toast lib smile down. If I could, have anything to say.
Hi, I'm a tanky. Tanky is a silly made-up word. I'm not sure who taught the liberals this word.
So step one of the Tanky playbook is to treat anyone who has critique of their views as a mentally challenged child.
So step one of the tankies is actually something that we can't really talk about. It's step one of the tankies is like what I got in the back that I can't show on YouTube or TikTok. That's a joke. So no, the tankies don't make people out to be like mentally challenged children. You just don't know Marxism. So if you don't know Marxism, you're not going to be in the same realm of understanding what people are talking about. And I'm not even saying that you have to be a Marxist, but you have to be at least decently versed in the modern fields of philosophy that are competing for power.
All words are made up, though, and this one was made up to describe.
Tanky is a made-up word, though. Like the word tanky comes from, I think, the I don't know why I want to say 50s, but whenever the Hungarian Revolution occurred, or the Hungarian uprisings and the Soviet Union sent tanks to settle things down. It was a term coined in the land of Angloids, England, and it basically is a pejorative for people who believe in authoritarianism and using might to crush dissidents, and liberals and sock dems really don't like that. So it is a made-up word in the sense that no one actually is a tanky, right? Like anybody who's online, anybody who's on Twitter, definitely on our podcast, whenever we're like, we're tankies, it's a joke in the sense that like it's not a real ideology. Really, all it means, somebody who is tanky, is generally somebody who understands that class struggle leads to political violence, and it's political violence that's going to be brought to us, and it's going to be violence that we are going to have to react to. So such as in the case in Hungary, where fascists are uprising, or capitalists are jockeying for power, or whenever in any nation, in any nation bloc, when there's dissidents and rebellion, nations respond. So the Soviet Union is not unique in the sense of putting down a rebellion as
made
the
up to
United
describe
States has in the
authoritarian
past.
leftists.
I'll explain something to you. The type of state that I believe in would be a bottom-up structure.
Authoritarian leftist, see, then that's where authoritarian leftist isn't really a thing, right? Because again, what is authority? Read Engels on authority. You need to understand what it means to have authority, what it means to utilize authority, when it means that we can implement our will on you, who is we, the proletariat of the world, imposing their will on the bourgeois. Authoritarian leftist, I've talked about this in a TikTok before. A leftist, it's just not a thing. It's not like, yes, I understand what people mean when they're saying that. They're talking about, left of the right, progressive politics, but it doesn't encapsulate an actual political ideology like Marxist-Leninism.
Where the people who have been most marginalized in our current state have the most authority in the next. I believe in taking away the car keys of authority and giving it to everyone.
All right, another rule of the playbook is to be incredibly vague about your positions, right? And make them seem reasonable. Because this right here is just...
I'm not sure what was vague about that. Comrade Ash is saying that a communist socialist society, Marxist-Leninist society, should be built from the bottom up, meaning the most marginalized, in this case in the States, being the indigenous, Black people, Hispanic people, LGBTQ people, should be the ones to pilot the destination of their nation, to constitute their own nations and to run them, without submitting themselves to supremacy in the form of bourgeois supremacy or in the form of white supremacy, or whatever was the system that kept them in oppression, in this case capitalism, that uses white supremacy and patriarchy as its main benefactors.
Because this right here is just regular communism.
What is regular communism? Socialism, communism. What is regular communism? Socialism, communism is built off the conditions of the nation that is putting forth revolution. The conditions of one place in the world are going to be different from others. Communism in what will be the former United States versus Palestine are going to be two different things.
There's nothing like insidious about that.
Is far more democratic.
There is nothing
than we have in the
insidious
United
about
States, and that is what I advocate for. Authority is not inherently a bad thing. It
Oh,
matters
oh,
who has the authority. Like, for instance,
wanna
I
make
do
sure
not believe that white
I
people
get this.
should be in the vanguard
Let's
or in
let them play
positions
again.
of authority. That historically and presently has not gone well. And I believe in liberation by any means necessary. You do not get liberation by saying please. I hope.
All right, we've been real vague. Now let's get specific. You say it would be more democratic
Did I do it right?
than what we have now. Okay, what happens to dissidents in your system? There will be dissidents of color. There will be Black people who are dissidents. There will be disabled people who are dissidents. There will be LGBTQ plus people who are dissidents.
I mean, do you really want me to say what happens to dissidents? I mean, this is the problem, and Michael Parenti brought this up famously in one of his lectures, where he said that the liberal, I want to say he said the sock dem, but I'm pretty sure he was talking about the liberal. I'll play the clip, but the liberal was when communists take power, they say, "What about the civil rights, the social rights for the fascists? What about the newspaper for the fascists?"
After the revolution, the passion and concern they feel for the fascists, the civil rights and civil liberties of those fascists who were dumping and destroying and murdering people before. Now the revolution has got to be perfect. It's got to be flawless. Well, that isn't my criteria. My criteria is what happens to those people who couldn't read. What happens to those babies that couldn't eat, that died of hunger? And that's why I support revolution.
This is what this guy is doing. Well, what about the people who disagree with you? Well, you didn't say disagree, you said dissidents. So dissidents means objective defiance to the political state that the proletariat have built. So let me ask you, what kind of people would be against a bottom-up society, Marxist society, where the most marginalized of the former US is now in charge? I'm thinking it rhymes with Yahtzees, white supremacists, liberals would be against that. So those people who have actively worked against revolutionary struggle, as this video is doing, I mean, what do you think is going to happen, big dog? I mean, you're talking about the complete upheaval and change of human society, right?
What happens to them in your system? Are they allowed to form a capitalist party and push back? Or are they going to need to go to re-education camps? Forced labor camps? Or would they get the wall? Now,
yeah, none of those characteristics would make dissidents better. Like, yeah, there's going to be people of color who are dissidents. Those in other countries, right? Or even in the States, So in the global South, countries that are subservient to United States capital, let's say like Guatemala, for example, have compradors. Compradors are people who look and talk and speak and act like the indigenous population, but they're subservient to finance capital. They're subservient to U.S. corporations. So that doesn't matter. Disabled people are dissidents. Well, still doesn't matter, because disabled people are more than capable of organizing for revolutionary and class struggle, right? That's what that's a huge portion of the lumpen proletariat. So the lumpen proletariat are going to be more interested in organizing with Marxist Leninists, right? So in a scenario where you have disabled people in a vague sense, uh, organizing in dissidents, I mean, they will receive the same treatment. I don't understand why that doesn't obfuscate nefarious actions against a proletariat state. Same with the LGBTQ. Yeah, you can be gay and you could be a white supremacist. You can be gay and be a Nazi. You can be trans and be a Nazi. The likelihood becomes less and less, depending on which marginalized group you're a part of, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. And those people are seen as enemies of the proletariat if their actions are against the state of the proletariat. You follow what I'm saying?
Are they allowed to form a capitalist party and push back? Or
Absolutely not. Brother, no. I made a TikTok and I deleted it because it was a reaction, but it still stands. Why would we let the slave master keep doing slavery? Why would we have the party of slave masters in a free slaved society? Why would we have the capitalists have political power? That's goofy. That's literally in defiance of revolutionary struggle. If you don't understand that, which I mean, you're a social democrat, then I mean, you're never gonna actually participate in revolutionary struggle.
camps, forced labor camps, or would they get the wall?
It depends. A lot of people can be re-educated because a lot of people just don't know. Re-education isn't necessarily a bad thing. I know it's given a scary name, being re-educated, but think about how brainwashed you are. Think about how brainwashed I was. Think about how things I still have to unpack from my liberalism. Look at yourself. I mean, if you took this video any seriously, which I know you won't, probably won't even watch it. There's a lot you can unlearn, so re-education, educating people. Well, I mean, even re-education, right, in general, like besides in a political line, there's just going to have to be education in general, rebuilding society politically, economically, sociably. There's going to have to be a lot of changes. So re-education is not a bad thing. We have a show about it.
Say that, well, just Yahtzees will get the wall.
It depends. Like, I've had this internal debate with communists. What do we do with all the Nazis, right? Maybe they should be building the roads that exploded during the Civil War. I mean, a lot of people are going to die when the government doesn't want to give up, their capital, right? But I digress.
I want to know how you make sure that the people who get the authority are the ones that are going to do what you want.
Because you participate in the revolutionary struggle. You participate in the party. You follow the vanguard. You are part of the revolutionary struggle. If you're not part of the revolutionary struggle at all, I'm not saying that you're a soldier. I'm saying you're a party member. I'm saying that you are helping build this new society, then it would be in your interest that those that you're following are doing the things that you agree with, right? If you're just laissez-faire about this, then you're more than likely not going to agree with those who end up actually taking the power, because those who actually take the power are the ones who put in the work to do it.
Ones that are going to be incredibly violent, right? How do you make sure you don't have a French Revolution scenario?
What's wrong with political violence when it's in the interest of the proletariat? Is it okay for the capitalists to be politically violent to us? I would think you would say no. But they're going to be. And they're going to be way before we even get to the phase. They are now. What am I saying? They're politically violent to us now. Have you not been paying attention to what's happened in the last year? Violence is going to happen. You have to get used to that.
The people who are willing to do whatever it takes by any means to secure liberation are the ones that are going to then hand over the power to people like you who want to be compassionate and be very democratic. So basically the specific questions are, how much violence is acceptable?
The democracy that Ash is talking about is for us, the proletariat, the marginalized, the people who are going to be incredibly violent to the dissidents, to capitalists, to the Nazis, to the white supremacists, to those who oppose us, are going to be those marginalized groups. You understand that, right? There's going to be black people who are violent, LGBTQ who are violent, disabled people who are violent, proletariat who will be violent, not because they are inherently violent, but because violence has been put on them before they've even been born. And the only way to secure liberation is to fight for liberation. Those are the people who are going to be doing the fighting.
And necessary to achieve the system that you would like. And you've said by any means necessary, so we have the answer for that. And then how much violence is
as much as it will take for the liberation of humankind.
Acceptable and necessary to maintain that system, and who would be the targets of that violence. Now, the retort to this is often, well, there's violence now in our system.
How much violence needs to occur in order to stop capitalist, bourgeois, fascist, and Nazi uprisings? And with re-education in a society, a global society that has the tendency towards Marxism, we will see less and less of those events occur.
The retort to this is often, well, there's violence now in our system. And
he got me.
True. I would like to minimize that violence. And but also
the violence
recognizing
that the government
that
does on us, or the violence that we
is going to be necessary
would do allegedly
to maintain any sort of system where we have a group of people as large as we have.
I don't think you believe that.
My contention is that you guys do not have a problem with a monopoly on violence. You just want to be the ones holding that monopoly.
Yeah, we don't. The monopoly needs to be given to us, because if we don't, they're going to kill us all.
I'll leave you with a little story. Not long ago, a palm-colored tanky on this app called Jeff Mead, the conservative black influencer on here, a pick-me Uncle Tom.
Is he talking about our boy Millennial? Fuck that guy.
Now, other communists, rightfully so, called him out on that.
Is bro talking about me?
Which was nice to see, but knowing this other communist was a bit of a tanky themselves, I was like, okay, wait a minute though. What would happen to Jeff Mead in your system? And they said, well, re-education. And for most people, it would just take 2 weeks to properly re-educate them, which is utterly delulu.
If this is talking about millennial, don't take millennials' analysis on anything seriously, dog. Yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, like, Jeff Mead's a nobody. I don't think he's an actual threat. When we talk about re-education, we're talking about providing the opportunities for people to understand and unlearn their liberalism and to not, be racist and things like that. But obviously, people are going to be that way anyway. But it is our duty and a society to educate those people. Doesn't mean that we're gonna fucking execute the random racist guy who says off-color shit. No. Does it mean that Nazis are gonna get killed? Yeah.
How do you make sure that it's the people that you agree with that get the power, and not the ones that just want to unalive everyone that disagrees? Hope this helps.
Again, I already did answer this. I mean, why am I talking to you as if this is live? I'm weird. No. So the way Comrade Ash would ensure that the people in power are the ones that she agrees with would be by participating in the revolutionary struggle, which they are, which we are, most of us are, and building that power and building that vanguard. That's how you ensure it happens. You don't just sit back on the sidelines like you liberals do. All right, that was cringe. Yeah, so Big Dog is a social democrat. And for those of you who don't really know what a social democrat is, social democrats are basically a group of communists who essentially don't give validity to the idea or credence to the idea of Marxist-Leninism, authoritarianism. They believe more in reform. They do not believe in the forceful struggle. They believe that the capitalists can sort of win and live in harmony with the proletariat. Sorry, my brain is slowing down. I'm tired. Sock Dems are not to be taken very seriously. They make concessions to the bourgeois all the time, to the capitalists all the time. And if this video is an example of somebody who doesn't understand what it means to have authority, to gain authority, to fight for authority, who doesn't understand revolutionary struggle or party building because they're a social democrat, they're not going to understand this. Yeah, a lot of these countries, they operate in the global south and they still exploit it. They run mines in African and South American countries. They participate in NATO. They send foreign troops to the Middle East to support U.S. operations. Like these are places that are still in the hands of imperialism. It's still a system that is giving credence to the capitalist. I think maybe that's why homie here mentioned, are we going to allow the capitalists to have their own party? Social democrats are pretty into that kind of stuff. Another thing social democracy really can't, help with is alienation. Like workers, they still have to, maybe their conditions are better for, some of the more wealthier people in those places. But, these countries still deal with any other poor proletariat than any other industrialized country is going to deal with. People still feel alienated because even though there may be some benefits, might be more comfortable watching Netflix in Finland than you would be in the United States, you haven't inherently solved the contradiction of the exploited worker, especially when that nation's wealth through imperialism is being secured through the exploitation of black and brown people around the world. It's just simply not a viable option for revolutionary struggle. As I was saying before, it's reformism, it's giving credence to the capitalists, it's giving concessions to the capitalists. It's just not revolutionary, and we shouldn't support it. But anyway, this was a short video I wanted to put out for you guys talking about this. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like this content, let me know. Original videos are going to be in the description. Later.